Anyways, yeah, so it's an activation I'm really passionate about. I think the missing element of every art show, event, curriculum is the business of it all. We never talk about it. It's like this hidden scroll that we must discover on our own. Like it's a rite of passage to get fucked over a lot to figure out how to do this, as opposed to sharing the information the way cultures usually do it, which is the elders teach the younger people like what to look out for and what not to look out for, and just kind of share these tools so each person can start on the shoulders of the giants before them and not like literally start reinventing the wheel. So this is a very important one because it's a women's edition. So we get that wise goddess perspective, and it's not just testosterone all the times. Because once we started doing them, a lot of times it's a lot of men. Like in skateboarding, I do these with skateboarding, it's like primarily men. Up until now, there's a lot more women, skater coalitions, activations, and companies. But graffiti, music is so male dominant that it's really cool to get a collective of women together to speak on it. So what I like to do is have each of you guys introduce yourselves, your style of art, and how long you've been professionally doing this.
My name is Bud Snow. I am a public artist and work in many different mediums. I've been working as an artist for pretty seriously for the last 5 years, but more like 10 years. Making work pretty seriously, but taking it more seriously over the last 5 years.
Hi, my name's Deb. I've been living here for about 5 years. I'm from Australia. I've been working as a freelance artist for 20 years, and yeah, I'm old, so. And I'm self-taught mostly. I went to university for a little bit, but kind of left, and then I did graphic design in my mid-20s, but after school everything was pretty much self-taught. I do public art, murals, lots of murals all over the place, and exhibit my art. I've been flying back and forth to Australia 8 times since I've moved here, because I keep getting work over there, but I haven't been for over a year. But yeah, it's one of those jobs where it's like you have to force yourself to stick with it, because it's very challenging at times. So in the last 20 years since I started freelancing after I left school, I'm 38 now, that every gap of 5 years it would be like, can you keep going, because financially it's like, it's a challenge, so you just have to keep pushing yourself.
Hi, I'm Nina, aka Girl Mobb. I do murals and paintings, silkscreen. I guess I've been doing art professionally, I guess about the past 5 years or so. I've been making art since I was about 16. And showing art since I was about 16. I exhibited some of my first paintings I ever did in a warehouse show, and it was actually pretty successful, and I sold the work, but then I got my car window busted out and all my paint stolen. So so that was a cool learning experience, because you can sell work, but then also you always have to pay for paint, and whatever happens. So yeah.
Hello, my name is Vanessa Sofia Solati Espinosa. But you can call me DJ Agana, which means con ganas, your inspiration, your desire to do what you love to do in life. I started tagging, and eventually I got more serious in the last decade about doing legal walls and murals and community murals, and I work with youth, and I DJ, and I also create jewelry, and I kind of see different mediums as inspiring each other. I don't really see them as like music separate from art. I feel like they're all connected. Kind of there's two vibrations in life, light and sound, and so I feel when they come together, it's just and inspire one another, it's just an awesome explosion of creativity. So yeah.
You should do voiceovers. You have a really
español también.
How long have you been professionally, would you consider yourself being professionally doing art?
In the last decade, I've gotten more serious about it and been putting myself out there. And yeah, I would say the last decade.
Cool. All right. So what drew you guys to your craft? Like what got you into doing the art that you do?
Doing drugs didn't work out.
How can I top that? Both my parents are artists. My dad is a performance artist and a visual artist and an installation artist. And my mom is a painter, has been since I was born, before. I'm Canadian. I grew up in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And we're learning all about each other today. I moved to California in 2006. I always wanted to live in California. I used to be in this little circus troupe with my dad. Part of his performance art was circus and performing arts. And he would take me in his car down to California when I was little and go to Wavy Gravy's circus camp. It's called Camp With a Rainbow, and it's in Laytonville, California. And my dad drove an art car at the time and had orange objects glued to the entire car, and I would just be kind of mortified driving around, but also just celebrating my dad. And so lots of puppets, lots of theater. I grew up in the theater. So actually I always thought I would be an actress. I never thought I would be, especially not a public artist or a street artist, quote unquote. It's funny how the universe works, but like Agana said, and I think we can all probably agree, art is limitless, and I think it is defining it to one medium or one technology or one use is futile and stifling. And I think that if you're a creative being, which most people are creative beings, there's a relativity of how nurtured it is in you. And I think, it's not limited. So inspired by my parents, inspired by skateboarding. I also grew up skateboarding, so skateboard graphics from the 90s were a huge influence on me. And also just the art from British Columbia, BC, where I'm from, and all my family, friends, and stuff like that. So.
I was always doing art growing up, and that I couldn't even focus in school. It was just everything: art, drawing, painting. And then I went to a school where I wasn't doing very much art. And then I told my parents I was going to drop out unless I could go to an art school. And there was one in Melbourne, Australia, where I'm from. There was one that it was a public school where you could just do pretty much all art and English and maybe one other subject. And then I went there for my last 2 years of school, and that was it is so encouraging. Everyone was just all doing, there was a lot of other things going on there, they weren't getting a good grip on all the drugs that everyone was doing at the school. So I guess that kind of fed into the creativity, and everything's changed now. And also, there was a lot of kids doing graffiti at my school, but pretty much only guys at the time, when I was in high school, and that was an issue for me because I was friends with all those people, but I was getting heaps of discouragement to come and paint with them. No one was letting me come and paint with them because I was a girl. This was back in the day. And so I had to teach myself how to paint. That was really stressful, and that was hard because I was oh my god, I can't do this, and we didn't have the good paint back then, and things were dripping, and it took a while for me to get the hang of it. And it was funny because, and I even had a graffiti boyfriend in high school, and he wouldn't let me come out with it, and that was probably part of it. He wouldn't let me come out with his friends, probably because he was my boyfriend, but it was no, because you're a girl, and the more no, because you're a girl, and that just went on, that just really pushed me to be I'm gonna paint. So I went out tagging and bombing by myself for a while there I had a Siberian Husky, and I went out with my Husky, and we had fun. And then eventually I learned how to paint. I get past the drips. I lived in a warehouse for a little while, and I taught myself how to spray paint there. And then eventually I met people when the internet started to come out. When the internet started to come out, and then I started to connect with people. And then when I started to make groups of friends that I would be painting with, and people would invite you to come and paint walls, and then I became really obsessed with it. And then the more people would see me painting with these groups of people, and then other people invite you to collaborate and so forth, and then the next thing you know, you've got a really nice group of people collaborating, and then people start to offer you walls for commissions, and then then the years go by, and I'm like, oh, this is what I do, this is my job. Right. And then people like companies start, and this is a big part of the conversation today. People would be like, could I commission you to paint a mural for me, for my business, for this, that, the other, and that would then fell into that as my profession, and that's been going on now for a long while, including exhibiting my art, graphic design, and all that other stuff. But that is my passion. And one thing that I have chosen to do for a really long time, if somebody asked me to paint something that's really going to compromise my style, I will often tend to say no. I just don't want to have that in my collection body of work, and to have that said about me. So I don't mind pushing myself and challenging myself, but if it appears to be something that's really lame, I'd rather just go, no, let that door close because another door will open. But you have to remind yourself of that, because it is a very tough career. It involves a lot of elbow grease to stay in it, Yeah. Sorry, I sidetracked.
No, it's all good. This is where it goes. Yeah, so what drew you to your craft? And you can add what drew you to your craft. That was good that you tied it in, because I didn't say that, but what drew you to your craft, and what drew you to your craft as far as taking it into a career space?
So what drew me to graph and, hit the streets was basically being force-fed by corporations, like what you should buy, and, billboards telling you what you need and who you should be, and kind of reclaiming public space and being like, nah, this is who we are. We have our own language, our own identity. We don't need to be force-fed who to be and what to buy. And so it's kind of like, against the system. And so that was like a motivation for me growing up. It still is. And then, eventually I got caught when I was younger. I had to go to juvie to do community service. But I got into this awesome program that still runs called Visual Element. So I got to do all my community service and learn how to do murals and legal walls. And so that's what really got me into like community murals and working with youth. And because I had those mentors growing up, I also got into, mentoring other youth. So it was kind of like, being a part of this legacy. And I remember my first graffiti battle with them. I basically thought that I had it down. I thought I won because I did like this really like ombre color effect, and it was all pretty, and I had my 3D on point and everything. And the homie I was battling did like this crazy, like drippy, just hella messy, right? And my mentor said he won, and it just like blew my mind. I was like, what? What do you mean he won? And they were like, well, he had a concept, he had a message behind what he was trying to paint. So I was like, oh, so it's not just about painting a pretty picture. Okay. So every time I painted after that, I was kind of like, all right, what do I want to say with my art? How's it going to make somebody feel? But a turning point came when I got this email from this young lady. And you guys heard of Townsend Alley in the city? It's like always getting painted. And I did this character and it ran for like 8 years. I didn't even know it was still running. And then this young lady hit me up. She was like 13 at the time. This was a while ago. And she basically said that she was in a dark place in her life. She took like the bus to the city and she went down this alley and she was like thinking of taking her own life. And she said she saw this like beautiful Chicana character that was still running, I guess. And she said it made her feel like really empowered and beautiful. And so she decided to live that day, and she hit me up, and the email just kind of blew my mind. I was like, what? Like, my art did that? Like, dang, I never thought something I just painted real quick in one day in an alley would like change somebody's life like that. So every time I paint, I kind of think about like, you know, how is what I paint gonna make somebody feel? What are they gonna think? How is it gonna spark a dialogue? You know, what is the chain reaction of what I paint? So that's kind of what has drawn me to the craft. Check.
Everyone, did you?
Yeah.
I get lost in the dialogue, man. It's so rich. I forget where we're at. It's a good thing I actually decided to write down questions this morning. So do you guys remember your first commissioned piece or your first sold piece of work? Like what was that feeling like when you actually first got that financial compensation for your work? Do you guys remember that? It's been so long.
No.
Really? No? Okay. Check that question off.
I can answer it.
Thank you, please do.
Yeah. This was a long time ago. And then I think it was for a church, and they wanted me to like paint like a community of people, you know. I was really young. And the money was crap at the time, obviously. And then I put so many hours into it. I was like, I've got a commission, oh my goodness. And I was like so excited. And I think I put like a whole week into getting like $100 or something, you know? Like the money was so shit. And then I did another one. They were like, oh my God, this is amazing. And they wanted another one. I've got another $100. But I think because I was so young and like, you know, just finding my way, and then someone was actually willing to pay, you know, for my art, I went to town with it. So that since has changed, obviously, you know, you'd think 20 years later you'll be like, I'm going to charge a bit more than $100 for a week. But that stands out to me. It's stupid, but...
I did think of something.